A 3-minute break, and we're just going to switch gears here to our next presenter. We're going to deal with using LiChess, and I think Sean's going to present that actually today. So let me make sure he can share the screen, and we'll get going here in a second.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. Lucian, great job. I really appreciate all the work that you put into that. That was absolutely outstanding. Let me make sure I'm in, which I am. And here we go. So, Lucian, outstanding. Great job. Fantastic. I love all the resources here, especially this one right here, because I know there's a lot of time and energy that goes into this stuff. And I really like that you put this up here because I can't imagine how many hours that you've put into this. And I know I'm certainly going to utilize this site. So I do appreciate it. And this is one way I'm going to show one way I already have shown my appreciation about 10 minutes ago. So thank you very much for making this available to all of us. All right, everybody. So I hope everybody's doing all right. Good to see you. Hello. Hi. Looks like some good pizza you got going on over there. This is great. Thanks for everybody participating. Again, I want to stress this, that in no means am I a LiChess expert. In no means am I an expert at anything, nor do I claim to be. We're just figuring it out, just like you. And I just jumped into LiChess very recently. We always use chess.com at Palatine High School. Again, Sean Fisher-Rohde, Palatine High School. Good to see you. I think I know most of you have been around for about 20 years. It's good to see you all again. And so when Eric first pushed out the idea, of how we're going to have this season run, we started looking at options. And my first jump was to go to chess.com because it's what we've always used. A problem with chess.com is that A, it's not free. B, it has some limited capability. And we have an issue with that at our school. Our school has a very large socioeconomic. A lot of kids have a lot of economic issues, and to have them have to pay for an upgraded chess.com account for them to unlock some of the features that are available there just wasn't great for us. And then I learned about LiChess. I'm becoming a big fan of LiChess. I've been using it now for maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less. And if you know of a way that of anything that I'm about to present about, if you know of a way that's better, great. Perfect. Share it with the group. I'm just kind of showing you right now what I've learned and also how we've done this in the MSL for the last 3 weeks now. The MSL and getting ready for Mid-Suburban League and getting ready for our season. We have put together 2 scrimmage matches, and we had our first regular season meet happen this last Thursday. And things are running smoothly. They're running as they should. So first thing I'm going to show you is just about creating an account. It's super easy. If you don't have a LiChess account, it's super easy to make one. You go to lichess.org, you'll hit sign in, and there'll be a register button right here. And when you click on register, one thing I do want to mention about your username is you can never change it. The only thing they allow you to do is to change the capitalization. So you may want to think about what you want your username to be. If you want to have your school identified in there, or if you just want it to be something fun, go for it. That's totally up to you. Make a password, obviously make it something that's secure that you won't forget. Use your email. I use my school email, and make sure you hit these 4 toggles right here. You got to hit these 4 toggles to green, and they show that you are confirming your account or that you're agreeing to all their terms. But again, the username is something that you do want to consider, because you can't change it. You can't change it at all. And once you're signed in, here is the LiChess homepage. There's a ton of stuff here. I could spend hours going through and talking about leaderboards and tournament winners and all the updates that happen and the open tournaments and the things that you can get into from forums. But we're not going to do that today. We are going to simply focus on setting up a team, getting your players to join your team, how players from different teams can challenge one another, how they can get a match going, how you can see their progress in their matches. We'll also talk about the training opportunities that LiChess offers. But now that I've seen Lucian's stuff, I'm not sure how much time I'm going to spend here. And we'll also talk about chess classes, LiChess classes. So those are the things that I want to get through. And we'll also talk about, I'll also talk about preferences. Now, when I talk about game preferences, I really want to stress these are things that the MSL has decided, the 11 schools in the MSL has decided that we're going to use, and they are not endorsed by the IHSA. This is nothing put out by the ICCA. We just went through and said what would make the most sense in terms of user preferences for when we have two high school players facing up against one another from one school to another during conference play. So let's go ahead and get into it. Here's my account, and here's my homepage. And the very first thing I'd like to call your attention to is community. So we made a team. And when you go to community, if you hit players, it's going to show you every active player that's out there. Forum is like a discussion board for everything that's public that's out there. I don't spend any time in either one of those. I spend a lot of time in teams. And if you'll notice right away on the left-hand side, there are some options. I'm sorry, let me back up. This is best done in any web version, whether you have the superior Apple products or the inferior Windows products. It doesn't really matter. You can go ahead and use either platform that you want, but the app version is never as good as the web version on any platform that you're using. The app versions are not as robust. They don't have as much coded into them as the web versions. They never have as many features. So everything I recommend that you do on the web version. And now to clarify that, you can be on your awesome iPhone and you can be on the web version and have full functionality of LiChess. You can be on your iPad and go to Chrome and have the full functionality of LiChess. If you use the app on either Android or if you use the app on Apple, you can get to your teams, but it's a big pain in the butt. And not only is it a big pain in the butt, it actually within the app opens up the web version for you to be able to work on your team. So you might as well just go to the web version to begin with. And I also say the same things to my players. They all just go right to the web version. So they bookmark it on the screen of their iPads or whatever they're using, and they can get to it quite easily. Again, a quick announcement. I am not looking at the chat window. Please hold all comments, questions, and suggestions to the end, or you can throw them in there, and I'll take a look at them at the end with the help of Chris. And again, if you have any way of doing this better, please, I will not be offended. Anyways, you'll see that I have Palatine High School as a team. How do you do it? Well, you simply hit new team. Now, here's what I've noticed. Once you set the name of your team, you can't change it. At least I don't think. I haven't found a way. There may be a way, but again, I haven't found it. So, be aware of when you make your team of how you're going to do this. Prospect High School, if they just put PHS, well, that could be Palatine High School, Prospect High School, Palos Heights. There's a lot of things that they can be. So maybe you want to be a little more descriptive. And honestly, if I can rename my team, which again, I haven't found a way, I would probably put Palatine High School and I would put a little dash and I would put my IHSA code as PALPT. I'd put a little amendum here or a little addition here. But again, I haven't found a way to do that. No big deal. I can still be found as Palatine High School. So anyways, when you hit new team, you put your team name, and then I really recommend confirmation is required to join. That means that, only your players that you invite to come in can get into the team. The rest are optional in terms of location and description. I've gotten a few people emailing me say, hey, every time I do this and I hit add new team, it doesn't let me do anything. It doesn't let me add it. You got to do the checkmate in one. You got to make sure that you're not a bot, right? So you have to do the checkmate in one. So we're going to go, and move the queen up, capture the pawn, and we got our checkmate in one. I think it's the same puzzle every time. So there you go. You got to do the little puzzle just to make sure you're not a robot, and you hit create new team. Once you have create new teams, you'll notice now that when I go to my teams at the top, I have Palatine High School. So what does my team look like? It's actually really basic. There's a chat, and this chat, I like that it says, please be nice in the chat. This chat is only available to people that are in the team. Nobody outside of it can see it. I can turn the chat off if I want. Woohoo. I can turn it back on. If I turn it off, then the players within the team will not be able to use the chat, which you may want to do if you don't want to turn this into social media. Honestly, all my players have a group chat going on their phones anyway, and they're not going to use this anyway. So I can go ahead and use this for any team announcement, but I don't think it's the best, to be honest, because if I put an announcement out here, they really have to log into LiChess and see the team and see that they have an announcement within the team, and it's not the easiest way to communicate unless they're looking for it. The chat just stays here, and it doesn't really get published many other places. I use another app called Remind to stay in contact with my team, and it just goes as a text message right to them. We can also use our Schoology page for that, etc. But for team announcements, I wouldn't use this. And if we take a look, here are all my members. Here they are. Now you'll notice that there's a pretty similar look here. Most of the players at Palatine had never used LiChess before. About 2 or 3 had. And for the 2 or 3 that had used LiChess, they asked me, should I use my current account or should I create a new one? And I said, honestly, that's up to you. That's completely up to you. It sparked a discussion, and I said, please, I said it's completely up to you, and you go ahead and do what you want. I said, but please understand that every game we play is going to be rated. Every game we play up against another school. If you have a LiChess account that already has an inappropriate name or a questionable name, then I will ask you to use a new account. You can't merge two accounts together. And so most just created a new account, and they're going to keep their Scholastic and they're going to keep their personal separate. That is not the same with all the schools in the MSL. Some of the schools have said, nah, whatever, go ahead and use whatever account you want. Whatever you want to do is completely up to you. But that, since most of our players signed up with, since all of our players signed up with a new account, that afforded us the opportunity to establish a team name or a personal name, the username preference. There's the first letter of their first name, followed by an underscore, because when you make a username, it won't let you put in spaces, so you can use an underscore. Then followed by their last name, followed by an underscore, and then there is their PALPT is our IHSA school code. We just did this because we thought it would make it easier. Okay, we did this easy. We thought it would just make it easier. Now, I see that somebody asked about if you can have multiple accounts on one email. I have no idea. Try it out. Let me know. That's a good question. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm really not sure. If somebody else knows, then throw it out in the chat and answer that for Harry. I have 2 accounts. I have a personal one, and I have my coach one. I like, and I only kept it separate just so I can demonstrate some things. Here's my personal one right here. And so it shows that I'm online, because in another window, I have my personal account right up here. And if you take a look in the upper right, you'll see that there's S45. That's my personal. And we'll get back to that one in just a minute. So here's my whole team. Now, what happens within the team is actually kind of limited. There's a forum. Now, I want you to be careful with forums, because when we take a look at community here and there's forums, this is all public. And if you'll notice, I have not messed around with anything around here, because people were saying that whatever you put in your forum can also go into the public forum. If you want to have a private place for your team, I wouldn't put anything in your forum here. And maybe somebody else can answer this for us. I'm pretty darn sure that what you post in your forum goes into a public forum, and it goes outside of your team, which invites other people into your team to participate in your team. This is not where I would place stuff for my team, to be honest. And I'll show you where I would do that in a little bit. Warning, Will Robinson, danger. about to show you something that you really got to that you got to be careful of here. So if I take a look and I go to my settings, I went here yesterday and I figured this is where I can change the name of my team, but I can't. I can only change free for all or the confirmation is required, and I'll talk about that in just a second. The confirmation is required. I'll talk about that in just a second. Here you can edit your location and description you put in. You can change that. Team chat is only for team members. You don't want to save it, for you can turn off the chat or just make it with team leaders. It's up to you. Okay, big warning. I hate what they do here. You see this close? This already happened to Buffalo Grove. Oh, I'm done in this window. I'm just going to close it. Do you want to close this window? Yes. Oh, wait, I didn't read it. This closes your team forever, and it cannot be undone. It doesn't put it archived somewhere. It doesn't save it somewhere. It cannot be undone. Do not hit the big red close button and then just hit the big blue OK button, thinking that it says you're moving on to another page. This will close your team forever. To get out of here, hit cancel. I really wish that LiChess would change this to say, do you want to close this team forever? And make that what this says down here. But no, you have to hover over it. And once you hover over it, it will say closes this team forever. Now, they're pretty darn clear in the pop-up that says closes the team forever, but there are teams that, well, surprisingly, don't read the pop-ups, and they just hit OK thinking that it's telling them that they're moving off of this page. Avoid the big red close this button. If you want to get out of here, hit cancel. If you have somebody in your team that you don't want there, or somebody that maybe cheated and you don't want them anymore and you can kick them out, there you go. You can establish team leaders which have a little bit more moderation, or they have some more features onto your team in terms of moderator features. Totally up to you. How does somebody join your team? Well, let me show you that. So let me cancel out of here. Somebody wants to join your team. What they're going to do is they're simply going to go to community and they're going to go to teams. Now, I'm already a member of my team, so this may not work so well, but what they'll do is they'll hit all teams. This My Teams option will not be there if they are not a member of any team. And now we have pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of teams. Well, we're not going to scroll through thousands of pages of teams or how many are there. I'm just going to go ahead and search Palatine. Actually, I'm going to search Rockford. And if I want to go ahead and join Zerwin's team, I'm going to go ahead and search Rockford. And here's Guilford. And I hit the big green join team button. Now, once I hit the big green join team button on the main page of Eric's team page, there'll be a little thing right here, or an announcement right here that says, hey, S. Fisher-Rohde wants to go ahead and join this team. Is that cool? And then you hit accept or decline. And that's where that by approval only. Now, there's a little more involved here. Let me get into that real quick. Anybody that wants to join the team, once they click join team, it can take anywhere. Some of my players, it took them 30 seconds for me to see that approval. For some, it took a half hour. I don't know why. Maybe it just depends on the traffic of LiChess. So if you have a kid that absolutely tried to join your team, but they're not showing up right away, don't tell them to rejoin 97 times, right? Just tell them to do it once. As long as they did it once, it'll show up eventually. Okay. All right. Oh, and I'm so sorry. I got to back up like 10 minutes. 15 minutes. I have no idea how long I've been talking. Once you go ahead and register for LiChess for the very first time, it's going to send you a confirmation email. So you got to go into that confirmation email and just prove that it's your email that you're using. It's a standard process with a lot of websites, and it walks you through it. So sorry I didn't mention that earlier. So how does one team play another team? Why do we even establish a team? Every school in the MSL has done this. Every school in the MSL has made a team. In the MSL, again, this is only the MSL, any conference or school, the independents, you can all do what you want to do. This is just what we thought would be easiest. The home team in the MSL will send a Zoom link to the visiting team. In fact, I can show you that right now, super fly fast. Right here, we actually built it in to Eric's spreadsheet that he's going to show us later. But here is the home Zoom link for each school in the MSL. Not yesterday, Thursday, we played Hersey. So I simply clicked on Hersey and it started our match. And once it started our match, we needed to establish who's going to play who. So we decided in the MSL that the player of white will create the challenge. You can establish however you want to do it. But in the MSL, we decided that the player of white will establish the challenge. So here's how you create a challenge. You find the player that you're going to play by doing this. You go to community, you go to teams. We're going to play Hersey. So I'm going to go to all teams. And I go to Hersey. And here is Hersey High School for Arlington Heights Hersey right here. Hersey MSL chess team. And here are their players. Notice some of their players have the Arlington Heights Hersey IHSA thing, and some of their players don't. That's okay. And what the players will do, just like if when they're exchanging notation books to write each other's names in there, the player of white will say to the player of black, what is your username? Oh, my username is, Webberg Frog. Okay, great. My username is Webberg Frog. All right. So the player of white is now on the Hersey High School MSL chess team. The player of white goes, oh, okay, the player of black is Webberg Frog. And they go and they hit the swords. Again, your conference can do this however you like. This is just how we're doing in the MSL. We've done it 3 times now, and it's super easy. We're going to choose a standard game. We're not going to play Crazy Horse or any of this other stuff. Great. Have fun. Do that in your own team if you like. We're going to do real time, not correspondence. Again, correspondence would mean if you want to go ahead. Correspondence would be if you want to go ahead and have like 14 days per move, or something like that. No, we're going to do a real time game. And in the MSL, because we do increment timing instead of time delay, and I want to clarify that. LiChess does not do time delay. They do increment timing. We usually do. We do 55-5 with time delay, just like everybody else. However, because there is no time delay and it's increment timing, we've decided to kind of play with it a little bit, and we're doing 45-5. And what that means for those of you that don't know what increment timing is, instead of waiting those 5 seconds before your clock starts counting down, it will start counting down immediately. And as soon as you punch your clock, it's going to add 5 seconds at the end of your move. So we decided to go 45-5. And in the 3 matches that we've had, it's gone pretty well. The matches have stayed pretty true to time. But we're going to give it another week or 2. And the 11 schools are going to come back together in the MSL. We're going to have a little powwow. And we may bump this up to 60. But here's something I don't like. It's either 45 or it's 60. And as far, we can't set 55. So as far as I know, there's no way to change this, right? But we decided to go with the 45 because we figured adding that 5 seconds, especially at the end when somebody is in time trouble, they can quickly go from under 10 seconds to over a minute very quickly by adding those 5 seconds, and they can get themselves out of time trouble. So what happens to the rules for time trouble? It's online chess, man. Some things are going to be different than playing on the board, which brings me to a kind of a side point to all of this. We're playing online chess. We're doing the best we can to mirror what happens on the vinyl. It's not going to be perfect. There are no more illegal moves. There's no more touch move. Any of that. You get over it. The kids are playing chess. That's what the most important thing is. The kids are playing chess. And we're going to do the best that we can during a global pandemic to get the kids involved in something that they like doing. If you're a stickler for the rules, and I'm a stickler for the rules, I get it, man. I was a steward for many years. I sat on the ICCA and helped write that rule book. I am a stickler for the rules for fair play. Well, let your shoulders down a little bit, take a deep breath, and relax, because it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to do the best that you can. And that's it. That's what I got to say about that. Again, you're the player of white, player of black, whatever. Every game that we're playing in the MSL is rated, and that is incredibly important. I have zero experience with this, but as far as I know, and Chris knows a lot more about this than I do, and can speak about it at the end, because I'm sure there's going to be questions. One of the main reasons why we're using LiChess is because it has a cheat detection system built in. I mean, it's kind of easy, right? It's just an algorithm that checks all the, Stockfish and whatever database that's out there. And if somebody is following a database because they're on their phone or their iPad on a secondary program and they're asking the computer to make the best move that's using the same database, it'll know it or maybe find it within the algorithm that LiChess uses. And from what I understand, from what I've read, LiChess has a 98 point whatever percentage rate of saying, hey, I call shenanigans. But it only does that on rated games. And the more you play and the more it gets to know you and the more it gets to know your tactics pattern when you do puzzles and when the lessons that you look at and it gets to know you as a player, the easier it can detect cheating on that player. And let me just address cheating for 1 second. It's going to happen, right? I would like to think that it's not. However you want to handle that as a coach is completely up to you. I'm just going to give you a little insight about my team and what I've said to my team. Any player that's called out for any sort of integrity issue, because I know my players. I know the skill of my players. I know exactly where they're at. And if they start playing above board suspiciously, I'm going to call them out on it. And not only am I going to call them out on it, they're done. This season is hard enough for everybody. This year is hard enough for everybody. We're all putting this season together to give them something normal, to give them something good, to give them something they enjoy doing. Look, I'm sure you all have incredible relationships with your players. And it was the first conversation we had with our players. Integrity is everything. Integrity is absolutely everything on our team and always has been. And those of you that know me know exactly what I'm talking about. And any player in my team that puts that into question, they're not hurting themselves. They're not hurting me. They're hurting our name, Palatine. And I will never have that happen. And they understand that that will be the last game they ever play for me, with no exceptions. And now that's between you and your team. I'm sure there isn't a coach. I'm sure who would argue with that. So cheating, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. I'm just going to have to trust that the relationship I built with my team is going to be strong enough where they're going to uphold the standards and expectations that I set for them. You're going to go ahead and hit rated. And the more a team plays a rated game, the more the cheat detection will work in LiChess. Now, I'm not going to hit any of these three buttons because that will create the challenge. But again, in the MSL, we decided that the player of white will create the challenge. So as soon as I hit this white king, then I would create a challenge to Weber Frog on Hersey High School. I'm not going to do that. If you're playing rando, go ahead, just hit random and it will choose for you. If you're the player black and you're creating the challenge because that's what you want to do, great, go for it. Hit the player black, right? And that's it. What does it look like after you create the challenge? Here's what it looks like. So I put my personal account in here and I had my school account challenge my personal account. And up here is my username. S45 is my personal account. But then you'll see I have a little bell ringer up here. Whoa, I got a notification. What is that? Well, I hover over it or tap over it, and I say, oh, man, LiChess would like to send you alerts and notifications. Oh, okay. I got this challenge here from somebody in Palatine High School. Let me get out of here. I'm kind of losing myself. Hold on. Sorry. I'm having my own technical difficulties. I'm sorry, Captain. I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh. Let me go ahead and go back. I think I lost my my challenge. But what's going to happen is that when you see your notification, oh, there it is. I'm now part of Palatine High School. Oh, I did not create the challenge. I'm sorry. I'll show you how to create the challenge. Here's what I do. I'm going to create a challenge against myself. Here we go. So I'm going to challenge S45. I'm going to go ahead and hit the swords. I'm going to hit a standard game. I'm going to hit real time. I'm going to go 45-5. I'm the player of white. And so now I've created my challenge. And now it's saying, hey, Sean Fisher-Rohde, I'm waiting for this guy to show up here, right? Well, now here is what I see. Man, look at this. Hold on. I have these swords here. Look at this. Eric is challenging me to a game, which we're already playing another game. So I'm going to say, hey, I don't want to play you anymore. But now here, I got to play this guy. I'm just going to hit the green. And when I hit the green, I'm in a game. That's it. It's as simple as that. I'm in a game. And as soon as I move, well, look at this. It's real time. Look at that. Now, maybe you heard some of the sounds. I don't like the sounds. I like the sounds of silence because I also don't want those sounds to be annoying. So if I hover over and I click on preferences, sound, I can hit that and whoa, I can turn it to silent. And I can move this slider here all the way down. It makes me quiet. And now when moves are made, whose move it? It's black to move. Now when moves are made, those little chimes don't come up anymore. And now it's nice and quiet. Now, I'd like to now go through the settings really quickly. Because now that we're into gameplay and the game is happening and they're going, right? They're going. What can we do to ensure that maybe it's kind of like they're playing on the board? So as far as I know, this has to be set per player. But from what I understand, at least that was my original thought. Now, from what I understand, if one player has these settings enacted, it will trump somebody who does not. Now, I don't know. It's something that we're going to have to play with and figure out. Again, we've only had 3 matches like this, but here are the preferences that the MSL has decided on. Piece animation is dealer's choice. Go for what you want. Don't care. The slow doesn't really make the game much slower. The fast doesn't make the game much faster. But we said these 3 are non-negotiable. Material difference. We don't want it to show that I'm 5 points up or 3 points down. That is something that you as a player should have to know anyway. Board highlights. No, we don't want it to show where your player just went because we want it to be where you have to read notation and pay attention to the game. In addition, if you have board highlights on, what this shows also is that if you're in check, it'll show it by glowing your king red. And that's like saying check when you make a move. And I teach my players not to say check. And for all the reasons why it's rude, and for all the reasons why I'm sure you teach your players the same thing. This is an absolute non-negotiable thing, piece destinations, where if I tap on the piece, it'll show me all the dots where that piece can move. It will show me all the legal moves. We have that turned off. These for us are non-negotiable. And in the MSL, we said for half the season, we're going to stress these settings. And beginning in November, mid-November, after we've gone 5 matches in, if any player has these turned on, it can be a disqualifying, potentially disqualifying offense, just like using your cell phone. Again, this is only the MSL. It is totally up to you. You set your own standards. We had the board coordinates on the outside, move list while playing always. This is notation. I actually have my players keeping paper notation as well. We follow the notation with the letters and not with the chess pieces. Do what you want. Zen mode you want to have off because that'll clear everything and just show you only the board. Resize, I have that on there. There's no big deal here. Blindfold chess, we're not playing blindfold chess. The next one goes into chess clock. You know, if you want to show tenths of a seconds, go for it. Dealer's choice, totally up to you. We turned off the green progress bar and the sound because we figured that that's equivalent to the light on the clock and the beeping on the clock. So we turned it off. Give more time was a big debate. We originally set to never, but then we realized we have to set it to always. Because we've had players that get kicked out of their Zoom and have technical problems, and they're gone for 5 or 10 minutes, and we don't want kids whose Wi-Fi cuts out or anything to have to be penalized for technical issues. So we have a system in the MSL that we decided if somebody loses Wi-Fi, which has happened, they can go ahead and get more time with the coach's assistants. Again, dealer's choice within each conference, but we set it within the MSL. Game behavior, click 2 squares. We had a lot of people that drag a piece and they mistakenly drop their bishop or their rook or the queen somewhere where they didn't want it to go. So that means you got to click 2 squares. Pre-moves, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Take backs, never. Promote queen automatically, never. Claim draw automatically, never. The player should have to know how to do that. Move confirmation. We have never or correspondence games only because we figured that will give somebody a look at the board. What that means is you can move a piece somewhere. You'll see it on the board. And it says, do you really want to make this move? Are you sure that's the movie you want to see? And then you have to hit yes. But again, it gives you an unfair advantage because you get to see what the board looks like just by moving pieces around. Yeah, it takes time off your clock, but it's not fair. So we put correspondence games only. And since we're playing real-time games in the MSL, it won't let them do that. Confirm resignation, absolutely. We don't want anybody to accidentally resign. King, again, this is up to you, but we said move the king 2 squares. Input moves with the keyboard, we said no because people make mistakes with that. Snap arrows to valid moves. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I know what that means, so we just turned it off, but I think it sounds like it's going to show you where the pieces can go, so we said no. And we said no to the goodbye because we want our players to actually say goodbye. Whew, those are all the settings. Now, again, this is only for the MSL, all these settings. It is completely up to you how you want to do the rest. It is completely up to you. If you want to change those settings, go for it. What does a game in the MSL look like? I'm going to spend a minute on this in just a few minutes. You thought I was done. I want to show you what the team looks like. Now, I didn't know about team or class. Excuse me. It's called class. If you go to lichess.org/class, you're going to be taken to a new page that I really didn't know existed anywhere. I couldn't find it. And Zerwin told me about it, and he gave me the URL, and I popped it in, and it said, oh, what school are you a part of? And I put Palatine High School, and it said, great, okay, here you are. You now have a class. So when I go to learn, I see LiChess classes right here, which only started showing up after I made my class. And what's cool about it is here are all my players. And I can see who's online with a little green dot. And I can add players by just throwing in their LiChess username and their real name, which I just copied and pasted from my team name. And what's also really cool about this is I have some new features up here. I have a private forum just for my team. This is only for my team. Whereas before there was uncertainty if what I paste in the team forum goes to the whole world community forum, this only goes to my team. But this is what I like. Progress. I can see what they're doing on Bullet. I can see what they're doing on Classical. I can see how many games that they've played on Classical. I can see what they're doing on correspondence games. I can see how many games they've played, if any. Looks like they haven't played very many. I can go to puzzles. But I could also look for the last day, the last couple of days, the last week, or over the lifetime of what they've done. And I can see man, Max is doing puzzles. Look at that, man. And I can also see what lessons they're doing. I can also see what, the progress on the lessons they're doing. What lessons? If you go to learn, you got a lot, man. You got a lot. Scroll through it, have fun, go for it. Everything from beginning things to fundamentals, intermediate, advanced, great. Most of us are, anybody who's experienced can rip through all of these pretty darn quickly. But then when you get to puzzles, and this is an advantage over chess.com, it is unlimited. Just keep on going. Keep on going. If you have the free account on chess.com, what do you have? 5? Unless you pay more to get more. This is free. You also have practice. Here you go. This is for your intermediate and advanced players. It's got so much of what you want. Now, Lucian's program looked more robust and a lot better, but here's opposition, key squares. So you got everything you want for your more advanced players, your intermediates, and even your beginners. The lessons are great. Now, when I went through the lessons, I have to be honest, when I went through the lessons, at first I was like, what is the Pillsbury mate, man? I've never even heard of the Pillsbury mate, which shows you my level of chess, but it explains it right down here. Oh, okay, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the rook to deliver the checkmate while the bishop prevents the king from taking over. Oh, okay. All right, that's cool. All right, cool. Excellent. Great success. And then you move on to the next one. You got all you want. And this is like a little coordinate practice. It'll say, oh, what square do you want to play? Do you want to do your coordinate practice for whites? Here's A1, here's et cetera. And you just keep on going. Study. Here you go. Here's for your advanced players. You got lessons and any game that you want. You can filter for any whatever you want. You want to study Morphy games, you want to study Silman games, go for it. You want to study tournaments, games that were in tournament, go for it. It's got so many options of what you can study. It's completely up to you. Coaches, here you go. It's got, if you want to go deeper into some other features, it's got, names that you heard of, maybe some that you haven't, that will help coach you up. And that's it. That's LiChess in a nutshell. It's got a lot more robust features, but that's LiChess in a nutshell. How do we do it? We go through Zoom. One school challenges the other school. The home team sends a link to the visiting team. The coach makes about 15 breakout rooms. Coach makes about 15 breakout rooms, 8 rooms for boards 1 through 8, a bunch of extras just in case. Board 1's going to breakout room 1. Board 2 going to breakout room 2. I know some people are about, all about like, oh man, what about Zoom bombers and all that stuff? Yeah, there are things you can do to mitigate it. We've had issues with Zoom bombers in our school. And it happens. Right? What are you going to do? If you get Zoom bombed, you get Zoom bombed. Make sure you're recording it if you want to try to report the kid or find the kid, but good luck. Just kick the person out. We've had that issue. Yes, we've had some of our students go into our classes and Zoom bomb, and some of them have been caught. Most haven't. Move on. Move on, play your matches. But as long as your players are in individual breakout rooms, board 1 in room 1, board 2 in room 2, and all the way down, somebody walks in and starts doing something inappropriate in the main room, it's just you and the coach and any leftover players that aren't assigned to a room that will see it, and that's it. Yes, there are settings you can do on the back end of Zoom, but I'm not going to turn this into a lesson on Zoom. If anybody wants a lesson on Zoom, contact your IT administrator. But if you can't find it on Zoom, and I'm going to put this out there with a little bit of hesitancy, I'm the district trainer for our teachers for Zoom. You can reach out to me, but I am incredibly busy helping other people all the time, constantly, with their tech needs in our district. Yes, on top of my classroom duties, on top of doing chess, right? I can help you with whatever you need for Zoom. You can reach out, but again, please, I'm not going to say do it in an absolutely necessary, but just make me the second person, just because I'm so busy with other things, and I am happy to help. I know that sounds like an empty invitation. It's not. It is sincere, but if you can't find what you're looking for somewhere else, then come and see me. We use Eric's amazing spreadsheet, which is what he's presenting about next. I am in the process of making a tutorial. I'm making a video tutorial. It's going to be on the ICCA website about everything that I just went through. I hope to make it a little bit of a shorter tutorial than I just went through, but there's a lot of features. Right? So I'm going to do the best that I can. I hope this gave all y'all some insight and some ideas about how you can run a match online. LiChess is not the only solution. There are others that are out there. However, this is a potential solution. With that being said, if anybody has any questions, and I'm sure there are a ton in the chat because I just saw 13 little red bubbles. So who's got questions? What can I answer? I'm not even sure if I can. We'll find out. Preguntas estudiantes.
All right, yeah, so we're just scrolling through the chat box real quick. I'll try to find your question there, Sean. But this time you can raise your hand or just unmute if you have your question ready to go that you'd like to ask verbally. We do have a good number of things in the chat box. I'm just sifting through those right now. We do have a question from Catherine about giving the team members the link to the classroom. I think that was a Zoom question.
Here's what I can tell you. First of all, Scott Oliver, yes, absolutely be careful in LiChess about posting to the forum because you want to make sure that it's not going to the public forum, right? You just want to make sure. Yeah, absolutely want to be careful with that. And I'm so sorry. So about getting the students the Zoom link, we use Eric's spreadsheet. We also use Schoology in our district, and I can show you that right now. So we have it in two places. So here is our flyer. Here is Eric's spreadsheet. He's going to talk about that in the next topic, so I'm not going to get into this at all, other than to show you these are all Zoom links, and all the MSL coaches have access to this spreadsheet right here. And so when we played Hersey on Thursday, I simply went here and I clicked this and I clicked that, and we went to Hersey. But how do the students get it? Well, you can push it out in any way you want, any method of communication you want. However, in our district, we are Schoology users. If you have any Schoology questions, I am also a Schoology trainer. I can help you out with that as well. But again, please make me the second person that you go to. Here is our chess team, and we have a folder right here that says Zoom match links. And the kids just go ahead and click on the school. And as soon as they click on the school, then it will open up their Zoom and it will take them to the match, and then they are all in Zoom. So
and in case I misunderstood that question, also how do they get to the class on LiChess? How do you first push that to them? I might have misunderstood that question.
Oh I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's my fault.
Sorry. No, not your fault at all. How do they get to, let me ask you a question. How do they get to your team page, or how do they get to the team page of the team that they're challenging?
It's what I'm asking is once you've created your team, you said you had that classroom, and that classroom is there for the kids to work with. How do I get the kids to see that classroom?
Absolutely. Now I hear you. I'm so sorry. I'm a little brain fried. What you do is from your class, what you have right here is it will have add student right here. And when you click on add student, and I'll add a student right now, username srohde5. I'm going to add srohde5. Excuse me, Mac.
Sean, you might not be sharing your screen.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, I guess I should. Here we are. Let me share my screen. So here we are. So once you are at your class, you'll see add student. And when you add a student, you just put in their LiChess username, and then you put in their real name, Sean Fisher-Rohde, and you hit invite. And it says an invitation has been sent. What does that look like from the student end? If you look up here in the very upper right, I have a little bell ringer. And from the student end, it says, oh, you are invited to join the class of Palatine High School. I click on it, and it says, are you sure you want to leave this page? Yes, I'm going to leave this page. And it says, all right, man, here I am. I'm in that class. I'm invited to do this, right? And I can go ahead, click on the link to see the invitation. Oh, all right, I'm going to accept that invitation. And now if I go back to my teacher side of things, which is right here, and I go back to my class and I look at Palatine High School, I will see there is my new student right there. So you use that little add student feature right there to get somebody from your team into your class. I hope that answered the question. What else can I help you with?
All right, thank you for answering that. Eric Zern has also posted the class lichess.org LiClass link, because I could not find that either without the direct link to the class. So thank you for posting that, Eric. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through here. I just did want to comment about changing the names. You cannot change your name, but you can. If a student says, "Oh, you can change your name on LiChess," they can capitalize or uncapitalize a letter, and that's it. So if a student says, "Oh yeah, it says change name," like nope, that just changed the capitalization of a name. Yeah. So. All right, let's open up to any audio questions. I'm still looking through the chat box, make sure we got all those chat questions. Any other verbal questions that people want to unmute and ask?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Sean. Thank you for the great presentation. This is Bennett Joseph, Glenbard West High School, West Suburban Conference. I think that LiChess will be a great platform. And so thank you for showing us how the MLS has set things up. I think that's going to be really helpful for our conference and a lot of other conferences. I have some experience using LiChess myself, so I just wanted to give some additional information for coaches if they might find it useful. So one of the settings that may be useful under game behavior, and so you were covering things on that page, one of the settings is pre-move. And for coaches who aren't familiar with that, I just wanted to let everyone know what that is. A pre-move means that you can make a move while it's your opponent's turn. So before they've made a move, you...
No, Joseph, you cut out.
I made him a
pick up there,
co-host, so he shares screen. And
gotcha.
So maybe that was my fault. I apologize.
So that pre-move does exactly what he says. If it's not my turn, but if I can anticipate, what's going to go on, I can go. If I see a forced mate, I can enter in all those forced mate moves and just have the computer make the rest of the moves for me. However, Joseph, are you still frozen or are you back?
I think I'm back.
Okay, great. There you go.
Yeah. So that's a setting that I would encourage conferences to disable, just because it's so different than what can happen in an over-the-board game. You could essentially make very obvious moves at an end game very quickly and then build up a lot of time, since LiChess uses increment. So that is a setting that I would recommend to turn off under game behavior. And then also promote to queen should be promote to queen automatically. The default for that is when pre-moving, and I would suggest putting that to never. So essentially, when a player moves a pawn to the 8th rank, they'll be given a small box with the piece that they want to elect to pre-move or to promote to, rather than LiChess selecting the queen for them. Why is that important? Well, there are the occasional times when a knight might be the better piece. A knight might be essential to winning the game. And also it more closely mimics the behavior of over-the-board play. So those are two settings that I would recommend for conferences. Also, when players are challenging one another and they're going to receive challenges, it's possible in LiChess to start 2 or more games simultaneously. I've done this many times myself accidentally, just playing on the site on my own. It's very, very easy to do. So for example, if a player simply mischallenges the wrong player accidentally, they might start 2 games. So just let players know that they who they should be playing in advance, so that they don't accidentally start 2 games at once. And what LiChess would do is actually show you both boards at once and let you switch from one board to the next. So that's definitely not something that we want. Also, as far as the forum things, someone was just mentioning for the forum to recommend that students not use it in case it becomes public. A couple of years ago at District 87, I was called into the district office and asked about our Facebook page, which we were using to share chess club related events for the players on our team. And I was informed that any forum that has the words Glenbard West in it cannot be public, or sorry, cannot be private. It had to be made public, which was very bizarre. So I'm only saying that to perhaps recommend to check with your district for any sort of strange rules that might be the case like that. So for example, I'm going to have to double check with the district so that if we have the name Glenbard West High School as a LiChess club, if the students will be able to chat in there at all, or if they'll have to be using some other mode of communication. Most of you probably won't have that problem, but it's something that District 87 was very insistent about. Again, no private communications on any social network with the school name in the title. So thanks again, Sean, for the great presentation.
My absolute pleasure. I see a couple things coming up here, and thank you, Joseph, for those additions. Absolutely. I did put together a PDF of a list of all those recommendations. That'll go up on the ICCA website with all of the other things that were mentioned, as well as the video. I do see a couple of things that came up here in the chat that it said here, if you use a duplicate, if you create a duplicate account under the same email, that it violates LiChess terms, right? So you got to use a different email, right, to have that work. And that's how I was able to show my 2 accounts. I have my school email with one, and I have my personal email with another. How do you check that students have the right settings? Here's what we've done in the MSL. We had an all-team, all-player meeting, but really we kind of changed it to all the coaches came together. They brought 2 players with them. We decided on what the settings were going to be. They brought those 2 leaders with them, and we walked through what all the settings should be. Then the coaches went back to their teams, and with the help of their players, they went through all the settings and they established the settings. Then before every match, so far we have said, here's what the settings are. Let's run through them real quick. It really takes just a minute. It does not take very long, because once they're already set, then it should be the expectation that they don't change. And then we said, come mid-November, for any of the ones that would give a player a serious advantage, come mid-November, once we're kind of all used to this, right? Just like we teach our players how to set the boards up correctly and how to set the clocks correctly and everything else, we're going to get more strict with the rules. And any player that's found to mess with the settings to give them an advantage will be disqualified. And again, that goes back to the relationship with you and your players and your team. Right, it goes back to the relationship with you and your players and your team. So we run through it. Can I drill into a player's setting and look at them? No. But I can certainly walk up to a game and say, all right, players, Please open up your preferences and show them to me if I wanted to. We haven't had occasion to do that yet. But we could walk into a game and ask people to do that. I'm looking at a couple of others. Kasparov lost a game like this. Absolutely, because of the accidental pre-moves. We said no to the accidental pre-moves because our players are not good enough to be able to really see, that's just it. Oh, I got this forced mate. Oh, wait, no, I don't. And now all of a sudden they lost the game. So, and if I'm right, that may be all of how do you create a class again. They're thanking you, Zerwin, for throwing that link in there. Again, it'll be in the video. And you can only check on one game at a time. Yes. One just came in. You can only check on one game at a time. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I still have to play with. We've got a barrage of emails, or I got a barrage of emails in our MSL email list about the preferences, where a couple kids didn't have the same preferences, but it seems that the player, whoever creates the challenge, their preferences trump whatever anybody else had set and sticks for both players. Now, I could be wrong about that, and that is something I'm going to test later. But that's what it seems, that's what people were reporting. And if that's true, then that's really cool. Because then as long as one of the two players has the settings down, at least the player that makes the challenge, then it's all good. But again, I have to check that. I can't confirm or deny that right now. Anything else before I pass it over to the man, the myth, the legend, the pen and pencil master himself, the guru of spreadsheets, the king of formulas, the maestro of everything that is chess, Dr. Eric Zerwin. Is there any questions before I pass this off?
Actually, I was going to step in here and share something that I came up with. I'm going to propose to my conference this coming month that pairs well with, I think a lot of people have about questions for this. And then I do think we will take a short break. Let people process, download, if they don't have a Google account, go get one. They don't have a Slack account, go get one. So we will get to the man himself, Mr. Eric Zerwin, Dr. Professor Eric Zerwin here. But I want to share my screen real quick. That's something I would propose this coming week to my conference. And then go from there. And so we're going to be, each conference is going to be, trying to come up with their own system here, what works for their students, So for example, we have Zoom in my district, but what about my conference? Do we have to use Google Meet? Things like that. In some schools, LiChess might be blocked because it's a European server. So hopefully it's showing my screen here. I think it's showing the wrong one. Let me try this again. Okay. Do you see an integrity index up right now? Anyone? All right, thank you. So this is something, I just threw some numbers and ideas together. So we're going to have matches that maybe all you can say about them is they were played on LiChess. And LiChess has anti-cheating software algorithms. Awesome. Was it played at the same time as the rest of the team in the same hour or, span of time that you allow them? And so what you can do is you can come up with your own arbitrary point system for how much integrity a game had. So for example, did the player also show themselves on Zoom and Meet to the other player? So that way you could double check the player could see if somebody else was on their phone or not. Maybe your district won't allow this, maybe they will. Were coaches monitoring the Zoom meeting, or was it recorded so the coach could go back and review it? Was there a URL shared so that people could watch the game or could double check the game? Was it a game that was too quick to cheat that much or cheat at all on, like Bullet? And then I hope we'll get to this in this pandemic. I hope we get to the point where maybe your team can't go somewhere else, but maybe your team could meet in one room in your own building and then play digitally. And then I think the integrity will skyrocket if we can say, all right, the coach is there physically watching all of their students play. And so this is something I just done this together. I'm not saying that everyone has to use this, but you can come up with your own conference of how much integrity can you have in your game with the tools that you have available to you, and just jot down who played what day it was, and then your arbitrary integrity score. Because we want them playing chess, We'll play the best we can, but I do know that integrity is really important, especially if we get to the end of the season. Now we're talking about, how to seed teams for certain tournaments. And when I say, oh, well, let's go look back at the records. Well, it may be beneficial to say, what kind of competition was that? Was that when we first were figuring out LiChess and online competitions, or was this, people are in the room, I'm in the room with the students, my 8 students playing as they play chess, and I could watch them like a hawk. And so I think some sort of record of what the competition was like might be useful for once we get to the end of the season into the postseason. Okay, so I'll make this available as well with the other resources. All right, let's do any last minute questions, comments, or concerns before we take a short break. Trying to change it to a 5-minute break here. Give people time to download Slack, Google, LiChess, create your accounts, things like that. We're going to be using Google spreadsheets here. So let's do a 5-minute break now. And I'll share my screen so you can see the timer.